Hey everybody, we are back. I'm here with Vanessa, Joe, and Helmut. This time, no Maggie. I think she's got the flu. But we wanted to get together and do another video talking about acceptance. Our last video was all about that, and we've noticed, some questions coming in from people in the community and some sticking points with that. So we thought we'd dive in a little bit deeper to some of kind of the common things that we're seeing come up where people might feel stuck. So we can kind of maybe help you guys get unstuck with that. So to kick it off, maybe I'll point it to you, Vanessa, and why don't you share maybe some things you've noticed, like in your Haven membership and in your community, where people are kind of bringing this up.
Yeah, it's something that I've been seeing a lot recently because we're all talking about acceptance, right? It's not this new concept per se, but I think we've really been bringing more attention to it than I guess we have in the past. And for those coming from a traditional brain retraining background, acceptance was not part of it. It
Hmm.
was really about redirecting your reality,
Yeah.
really make trying to make it something different than it was. And not to say there isn't any benefit to some of those resources, like visualization. When you can't accept your reality, the visualization is part of that escape that we're needing when it's necessary, and it can be so beneficial. But what we're seeing and what I'm seeing in the community is this question about acceptance. It says, how can I accept my reality? How can I accept that I am stuck in a bed suffering? How can I accept that the people around me are living their lives and I'm not? How can I accept that so many years have been lost, that my kids are growing up without their mother or father, that I'm missing out on relationships, opportunities, and time? And I think there's a false message out there saying you can just click the switch
Yeah.
and you can accept and everything's going to change for you.
Mhm.
But the truth is, acceptance is a journey. It is something that evolves over time. So it's not an overnight thing. And that I think we can all agree on is a process,
Yeah.
right?
Such a process.
You
Yeah.
could pretend to, but
Yeah.
you're not.
There's a lot of pretending out
Yeah.
there. A lot of pretending out there. And we're going to talk a little bit today about maybe some of the ways that we each approach acceptance
Yeah.
because not everyone does it the same, but I think we all have these foundational kind of ways to approach
Mhm.
it. And it really is a part of the healing. It really is a part that really needs to evolve in order for us to evolve.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of, some people might maybe feel a little disappointed knowing that it's a process, like
Hmm.
how it's not linear with healing and things don't happen overnight. And so it is, but it is, another question that comes up a lot is how long is it going to take me to get better? And now it's kind of like, well, how long is it going to take me to accept? And
Yeah.
we can never answer that question because we all are so unique as individuals. And it takes however long it's going to take, but if you're sort of taking the steps towards that and doing
Hmm.
some of the practices or things that'll help you get there, you'll inevitably get there.
Hmm.
So, what about you, Joe? What do you see coming up like in your class or with people who are struggling with acceptance?
I think people think acceptance is going to be easy. I try to teach people this method of getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. This is like we all want to avoid the discomfort of chronic symptoms, chronic illness, and often we're all trying to just focus on things, thinking that that is the way. And I think for me and on my journey, and then when I work with people, you often have to go through that first, where you're trying to fix and focus and trying to heal and get better and do all this stuff, only to realize that all of that energy just is wasted. It kind of keeps you stuck in that loop. So I think like when I'm teaching people about acceptance, I'm trying to teach them how to be more comfortable with being uncomfortable, not forever, just for a short period of time, so you build that safety, and then you can move through aspects of acceptance, and there's another piece to this we haven't talked about. Like before I ever learned anything about neuroplasticity, nervous system work, what helped me heal before was reading books on acceptance and commitment therapy. I don't know if you guys like really know much about it, but like I think like, the acceptance piece is like the first piece. The committed action is also what helps with acceptance, so that you're not just like, hey, I'm sick, I've just got to accept this. It's like I accept where I'm at. Now I'm also like moving forward, even while I'm doing still struggling with symptoms. So yeah, so that's a lot of what you know I mainly teach. And with people with acceptance, it's like Vanessa said, like you guys said, it's a process, it's a practice, just like everything. Because if you think you just you just flip a switch and you're like, hey, I accept, and then from there you're good, like that's not reality. Like, and even the other aspect is people can know, like consciously and logically know how to practice acceptance, but actually not embody it and like energetically accept, if you want to make that correlation with it. And that's the thing, is it's taking the knowledge and applying it into everyday life, day to day. And that's kind of what I see, is like a lot of people struggle. They will understand acceptance logically, but putting it into practice is where it's really like there's tons of resistance with that, because it doesn't seem like it makes sense. Even logically it doesn't make sense, but then also when you put it into practice, it's like, how is this going to help me? So I think that's where the misconception is with a lot of people that I sort of see as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's almost like it's a mindset, but
Yeah.
it's also an action. Like there's actions that support it,
Hmm.
because you kind of have to start behaving a bit like you're accepting
Yeah.
where you're at and how you feel too. So that makes a lot of
Hmm.
sense to me. Helmut, what about you? What have you seen, or what was your experience on your journey with getting there, and kind of like any
I
roadblocks
think
you
it's
notice
waking
happen?
up to a new reality that's possible that I didn't know was, and how could I know? Because I was surrounded by googling realities of Facebook groups, and right. So how could you know anything about acceptance or wanting to accept that there's another road that you can take? So you're not gonna test the waters because you don't know you can, right? So
Hmm.
eventually I had to surround myself with people that first find the mind body space, get out of all the the brainwashing that I was in, because your reality literally lies to you. Your symptoms are lying to you. Everything around you, googling it, you're living a different reality. And then you get to the point where you somehow you find the mind body space, and people are like, everything that you have you can fully recover by walking this path. So there's evidence. So you see the evidence, you get the hope, right? And then you get the a little bit of the advice. So then you're like, okay, well, I'm more willing to accept this because I know there's a path that I can take.
Yeah.
When before, I didn't even know that was, you have a different version of it. So the reality starts to open up in front of you. You're like, okay, I I don't know how to do this, but this is what we're supposed to do, and I'm willing to try because I have a knowing somewhere that I see the light over there, and I'm gonna walk it. I'm gonna it's like you're crossing that invisible bridge, but you cross it anyway, and it kind of unfolds as you walk, kind of like Indiana Jones, where he throws the sand, and all of a sudden you see the bridge, kind of like that as you keep moving forward. So I think it's waking up to the potential of recovery, seeing the world, seeing the evidence, seeing the recovery stories, being friends with people that have recovered, that can
Hmm.
talk to you and go, "Hey, listen, I've had those symptoms. Actually, I had more than you. Actually, I felt like this. I know what you're feeling. Do you feel like this? Yeah, I know. Right? Because it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, there's a path I can get there. So the acceptance is, I think, a lot, maybe not easier, but it's possible, and you're more willing to put your toe in the water and try and try and try again. And so then you take action, you walk the path, and
Yeah.
it kind of unfolds as you go, type of thing. That's what I noticed when I first started.
Yeah, like almost like there was some hope attached to it, so
Yeah.
that once you felt like there was a possibility of
Hmm.
not being stuck where you
Yeah.
are, now you can maybe kind of accept that right now in this place, but it's temporary. So it's
Right.
easier to sort of accept it maybe because it's like a temporary place and there's a way out. And it kind of reminded me what you were talking about. Like, I heard this analogy of this study they did where they drew like a black line with a Sharpie on a piece of paper and they put like an ant in it. And the ant wouldn't cross the line because it didn't
Mm,
think it could. Like it was just this
right.
boundary.
Like the
And
elephant that's been
yeah,
chained for years, but it's
it's
like a
like it
little.
didn't know that
Yeah.
Yeah.
like you can actually do more. And then
Hmm.
it finally, I guess, yeah, I don't know how they got it to go over the line, but then like once it did, it was like everything kind of
Yeah.
expanded. So it's almost this like the symptoms are very real, of course, and you feel like it's impossible, but there is this limiting belief and sort of an illusion that's kind
Yep.
of happening of like what you're capable of, and maybe
Yeah.
that's what feels hard to accept is that line. You feel like there's this line around you, and
Yeah.
so what do you think, Vanessa? What's kind of your, aside from just that this is like a journey, and what were some of the things that helped you start getting into that place of acceptance?
Yeah. So, first of all, the awareness of the fact that we have all been wired to resist and reject our reality. And
Hmm.
what I mean by that is think about our culture.
Hmm.
We are literally being wired to avoid, resist, repress pain, discomfort. We're all going to die one day. That's another thing
Yeah.
we resist and push to the back of our minds or into this deep, dark place. We also don't accept the way we look. We don't accept aging. We don't accept, even when we think about illness, we think about it's a failure. We can't accept that we got ill. We can't accept faults. We can't accept the failure. And so just recognizing that was a big kind of revelation for me, realizing that this was not my truth, but it's what I learned, it's what I was taught, it's what I soaked up and consumed from television, from people, from books. And so, first of all, recognizing and having that awareness that I've almost been hardwired to reject everything
Western
about
medicine.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Add that to the
Yeah.
pile.
exactly. And so there was going to have to be some unlearning. And so it started with that awareness, but also this knowing that I had to grieve in order to accept.
Mm.
So, how can we go from point A to B? Meaning, how do you go from this horrible thing, situation that you can't accept, to making room for something new to grow? Many of us will go from here, this place of suffering, and try to go all the way to here where it's like I'm going to do something new and like live my
Mm.
aligned life, and I'm, going to expand in all these ways, and we are missing the point. And that's why we kind of see the looping. It's like people will try and then they'll get kind of boomerang
Mm.
back, try and boomerang back. That's why when you hear all the gurus saying, leave the job or leave the relationship or leave the whatever it is, go to point from A to point B, just forget about the messy middle.
Skip
But
the
the
journey.
skip
Yeah.
the journey.
The
But the truth
journey.
is, grieving itself, which is a process, but grieving means facing exactly what is here now, knowing that you can't change it. Grief is the change you didn't want that happened anyway. And
Hmm.
so when we think of it that way, we have this awareness that something happened. Whoa, something happened. So grief already has this acceptance that something happened. So now, can we accept the feeling that comes with that? The emotion, the thoughts,
Hmm.
the stories, allow them to be here. And something about grief that's really beautiful is that it has the ability to bring you into the present
Hmm.
moment, the here and the now.
Oh,
Yep. It's
And
healing.
it is hard and it is deep and it is dark. But when we allow and make space for that, the acceptance starts to form. It says,
Hmm.
we lost this. We can't do anything about it. We can't get it back. Versus us saying, we lost this, I'm going to keep trying to get back what can never be gained back. And we spend all of our time and energy rejecting the reality that is, resisting the truth that's there. And what does that do? We're in a loop, guys. We're spinning our circles. So that's why I preach so much about the grieving process. And grief is not just sadness. It is all of the emotions. We've shared this before. The anger, the resentment, jealousy is a part of grief. Denial is a part of grief.
Yeah.
It's all there. So feeling that emotion, grieving what could have been, what should have been, brings you to this place of what is. And now that I can be with what is, allowing the emotion, the sensation, the story, the parts, only then can I make room for something new to grow, to form, to evolve. That's really what grieving is. It is making space. So
But then
that's
people
how
get stuck in that too. That's another thing.
well,
And they
yeah.
use it as their label. They use it as their, well, I'm never gonna. I'm a special case, though. I'm special. I'm
Yeah.
right.
We all think we're special,
Yep.
But then you have
right?
to move through it. So many people that are special cases, and they don't. They stay stuck. And they don't want to
Yeah.
believe it. They don't want to come out of that reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
So true.
And what you're saying kind of reminds me a bit like, when you're saying when people say, how can I accept this? How can I accept that I'm missing out on this? Or there's resistance to the situation, right? But are they really resisting the situation, or are they resisting the grief that it's causing them, that situation is causing? You know,
Yeah.
like when you kind of strip it away and you're like, well, what are you really resisting? Is it resisting feeling all those feelings of anger and disappointment? You don't like them, they're uncomfortable, but what if the way through them and the way out of them is to feel them? That's what you're saying, like, is to
Yeah.
allow them and let them come through you so that they're not just sitting in here and you're constantly fighting them. And once they release, now there's space to kind of be in your reality and start
Exactly.
making space for that. And then what are you going to do with that now? What's
Yeah. And
what's the next step?
that's even being stuck in time.
Yeah.
Right? If you think of it that way, it's literally operating from that point in time, reliving something as if we're expecting it to be different. That's like the definition of kind of insanity, like doing the same thing over and over and again and expecting it to be different when it won't be. But grieving almost allows for time to start moving again. So if, like you said, we're rejecting or resisting the feeling of the grief and the emotion and all of that, then we're resisting that time is still moving on. We're almost resisting that there is still living here because grieving and living go together.
Truth.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so great. I'm so
Yeah.
glad you brought that all up, like just the grief part and, how it makes space.
Acceptance and presence go hand in hand. That's the one thing too that, Vanessa brought up when you're deep in grief or feeling your emotions, you're in the present moment, and that's where acceptance lives. That's where acceptance happens. A lot of people think, acceptance is this conceptual thing that they have to achieve or get to. It's like, dude, can you just be present with what is, how you feel, and not resist how you currently feel just now? Not, can you be with it for an hour or, for days or months? Because this is where a lot of people have that resistance. It's like, well, I can't accept, my situation because, who wants to accept this? But they're often projecting how they currently feel into the future. Like this is going to last forever. But the truth is, and like the paradox of it is when you're actually present with what is, the emotions, the sensations, from like a non-judgmental lens, not caught up in your head about why are they here? Why is it here? What's going on? Did I do something wrong? Did I eat something wrong? Did I, mess something up? Why am I always like this or whatever? And you just drop into the body and you allow this symptoms and sensations to be with you as they are right now. The paradox of that is that they're then free to move, emotions free to move, and the truthfully, I even hate to say this because then this can lead people into doing things with a goal in mind. The truth is, though, things start to move, shift, and you actually start to feel better. But that's when you actually practice that acceptance, that surrender, that being in that present moment and allowing things to be, then they are free to shift. But then there's like, kind of like what I was saying, people can then try to get in that present moment to fix, as well. Like if you're just like, oh, I'm just going to do it to like, so my symptoms resolve, and that's not the way, it's the true embodiment and allowing, what is to be there. And this is something that I struggled with like immensely. Like I don't know about you, Helmut. I know dudes are like told not to feel emotions. I think women have a better, are better at that. It's like a societal thing, especially like
Even when
with
I
our
tried, I
age.
didn't know. I'm like, okay, so it's okay. I don't know. What is it?
Exactly. Like that was like a big part of my journey was like not pushing away and pushing down and suppressing things that came up. And a lot of it was, fear, anxieties, just grief sensations that I didn't want to feel because just like growing up as a dude, you're just like you just push emotions down. At least a lot of guys did. I did for sure. And then like, learning to accept, like practicing acceptance was also allowing whatever symptoms, sensations and emotions were there to be there and to feel, to actually feel them, to not get caught up in like my head about them, but actually to feel them from like a somatic sense. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like
Where
actually
would you feel
feel into
yours?
the body. Huh?
Where did you feel yours in your body?
So anxiety is always in my stomach, my gut, and in my chest. So like learning to
Yeah.
just feel that, like those are some of the things that I learned with like acceptance and commitment therapy. It's a ton around being present, acceptance, feeling your emotions without judgment, allowing things to be there and not trying to like fix yourself. And it's freedom. It's like true freedom. It really is true freedom. And that's kind of like the paradox of it is like when you allow it to be there. I mean, it's uncomfortable, it's super uncomfortable, but when you allow it to be there, then it moves, it shifts, and now you're not avoiding it and running from it and trying to fix and all of that. And it's,
Sometimes it's
that's,
relief.
yeah, it's
Sometimes you
really,
feel a dissolved energy going, bzzz, and
yeah,
it feels like,
exactly.
whoa, it feels nice. Not all the time, but sometimes you get that.
So true. Yeah, exactly.
You said something, Joe, about the present moment and
Yeah.
acceptance kind of being in that present moment. And what I always say is that safety is in the present.
Yeah.
It's not in
Same.
the past, it's
Yeah.
not in the future. It is here now. And it's also cultivated here now.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about that acceptance and how safety are weaved in together, we are always pointing to the fact that it is the safety that's cultivated here now with what is. And so even bringing up that curiosity, right? When an emotion surfaces, it's not surfacing then. It may
Mm.
be from the old program, it may be from a part that hasn't updated, but you're feeling it now. And so you need to meet it here,
Mm-hmm.
now, in this timeline. And I think that's something a lot of us miss. We're looking for safety elsewhere, and we're missing the whole point that it is in the present that you feel safe, the
Mm-hmm.
present moment. I don't know if you guys kind of see the same thing in the
Absolutely.
community, right?
100%.
Yeah. Like I was thinking too about what Joe was talking about with the present moment and how, again, kind of reflecting back the questions that are coming up that people are getting. Well, how can I accept that I'm in bed and it's Christmas and I'm missing out? Are you thinking that you have to accept that forever? Are you
Yeah.
thinking that you're having to accept that is your future and this is just your life now,
Mm-hmm.
always? Because that feels like that's going to feel like an ocean of acceptance.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's in the present moment, it's
Yeah.
kind of like it's just right now.
Mm-hmm.
But then I know what somebody's going to say to that. But it happened all these other years. It's been going on for, well, now you're in the past.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
it's like, so that's where, yeah, I could see how staying in the present is hand in hand with part of getting to acceptance. And it's sort of like what Helmut was saying, if you are going to kind of go into the future, he was like attaching some hope to that though. So it's like,
Yeah.
well, I can kind of accept my current reality because I have this belief that it's not going to be my current reality forever. So it's just
Yep.
right now, which is kind of again like bringing you back into the present and not projecting it into the future or dwelling on like how it was in the past. And so so those things are probably, if you're saying like I can't accept, like that's something to notice is like what are you think like what's attached to that that you think you're having to accept? Like are you projecting it in the future with some of
Yeah.
that? Are you like living in the past with some of that? Like what is it or are you really just trying to accept right now? Because if I had the flu for Christmas this year, knock on wood, I don't want to get the flu, but if I did, I probably would go through like a short temporary period where I was resisting it because I'd be like, oh, this really sucks. And then I'd probably feel some grief and I probably would cry. And so then I would like feel the emotion that Vanessa's saying. And then I would eventually just be like, it is what it is this year.
Yeah.
Oh, well, next year will be better. And I would be able to accept because I wouldn't be trying to accept that I'm going to have the flu for the rest of my life and every Christmas here on out, right? So
Because
that's kind
you
of
have history with it,
Yeah.
right? Like
right.
a doctor says, your broken ankle, don't worry about it. It's gonna heal itself. You move on quickly. You accept it quickly. You have the evidence.
Yep.
It's quicker. But
Yeah.
when you have no guidance and no information, or you're brainwashed, it's a different reality. You might not accept it ever. You might be stuck in that old
Yeah.
program.
Or you just
Yeah.
don't believe that it could get better. And so maybe that's part of it too, is it just you
Doubt.
don't have that. Yeah, there's still doubt that you can get better. Could be, part of why that feels so hard to accept. But then, like, on the flip side, for me, I'll just share really quickly, like, what has helped me with acceptance was actually almost like accepting the extreme. Like, I kind of did tackle the ocean. I don't know why that was my path, but it was because somebody asked me one day, what if this never gets better?
Yeah.
And that was like a very hard question, but it made me have to start coming to terms
Yeah.
with what my reality was in the moment and what am I going to do with that.
Yeah.
And it shifted my focus away from trying to heal and trying so hard to get better to now making my life as meaningful as I can while
Yeah.
I feel this way. And that led to me accepting how I feel because my attention wasn't so focused on how I'm feeling. It was how am I living? How am I making my life meaningful despite how I feel, which got me to kind of accept how I felt more. And I think some of that was the commitment part of
Yeah.
it,
That's the
like what Joe
commitment
was
piece of
saying,
it.
like the
Yep. Yeah.
action based,
Yeah. It's action based. Yeah.
and making a commitment like I didn't realize this is what I was doing until like Joe introduced me more to like the acceptance and commitment
Yeah.
therapy stuff. But 2 years ago, I had a lot of grief around being a mom that was missing out on my kid's life, and it was her last year of elementary school, and I decided that year, you know what? Like, I value this is her last year of elementary school. I value so much like being able to be a part of this more as her mom, and I've missed out. And so I'm like going to commit to taking her to school and picking her up every day, no matter how I feel. And when I made that commitment that was based off of a value I had in my life, that kind of forced me to start accepting because I made an agreement and a commitment. I'm going to do this, and not in a way of pressuring myself, but more in a way of like, this matters to me and I don't want to keep missing out anymore. I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
So I'm making a commitment to do this every day. And I just held to that commitment. And then I really had to get good at like accepting how whatever like state I was in that day when I would go pick her up and when I would bring her back home or take her to school. That commitment piece was part of it for me.
Yeah.
Was just turning towards my values more, taking steps towards those in a committed way got me more towards accepting where I'm at, but also it got me moving from where I was
Mhm.
at. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't staying stuck, and I felt like I had a plan now. And it wasn't a plan to recover, it was a plan to sort of, I guess, resolve that narrative of like, I keep missing out, I keep missing out. And it's like, well, now I'm not missing out as much. I feel like crap, but I'm not missing out as much. And then it just kind of led to more acceptance. So it's just interesting because it's like we've all kind of had our own,
Yeah.
or there's our own, that's, it's like so unique, like how everybody kind of gets there. And it's probably going to be unique, everybody. Sometimes it's like an aha moment, like a question somebody asks you, and it starts kind of turning you towards acceptance. Or it might be, and it's not linear, like just like healing's not
Yeah.
linear. It's like there were moments or days where I was accepting, and then there were times where I was fully resisting and like hating where I was at.
Mhm.
It's not like once you get it, and then it's always there, right? It's like it's
Yeah.
up and down. So,
Yeah.
Sometimes you're
yeah.
forced to learn it because you have the OCD drilling it into you
Yeah.
constantly with the doubt, second by second. So you're going to learn how to allow. It's the greatest teacher, OCD. It's going to move you through it whether you want it or not. If you're going to resist, it's going to take you longer. If you allow, you're going to learn. And that's the thing. The only way to find out is to find out. Do it, take action, keep it being consistent. For me, it was very important to have a routine because it helped me, right? Not a rigid routine, not a crazy routine, just one that was like, okay, I'm going to do some repetition with this. I need to have visualizations without even thinking. I need to stabilize. I need to have some
Yeah.
safety with these familiar routine things that I need to do just to ground myself. And that, the more you have a relationship with, the symptoms, the OCD, you get familiar with everything. You have a relationship, you have history with everything. You see the patterns, then you accept more and you move more forward more because you're getting used to everything. You're seeing the pattern. You're starting to call things. Oh, I know you, old friend. Okay, you're coming back today. Well, we got a new symptom, but I've had new symptoms before. We got an old symptom returning. This shall pass again because I've seen this before. So the allowing becomes more familiar, becomes easier because you're walking the walk. Because that's the only way. You can't just theorize everything in the beginning and go, well, it should work like the blah blah blah. You have to walk the walk to really understand the journey. So you got to go through the journey. You got to go through the hell to learn the patterns and the history of the relationship of all the symptoms, which sucks. But you get better at it, and you get more confidence, and you get trust
Yeah.
eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
It kind of, that kind of reminds me a little bit like the history with it of, okay, I feel horrible right now, but like if it doesn't kill me, then all right, like I think I can kind of start accepting it. Like it just, you build this, the more time you have with it, and you're like, I'm still here. Like it's still,
Yeah.
I'm not actually, like, nothing's actually happening other than I'm
Yeah.
experiencing this thing that's bad. But, it kind of, the fear kind of starts to come down. You start getting a little more curious
Yeah.
to maybe challenge it because you're sort of like, okay, I've been laying in bed for how many, weeks or months or
Yeah.
whatever. And you're sort of like, well, let me see if I start doing that. Like, that's where that curiosity comes in. And maybe it's the same approach with acceptance, like just be curious of, about playing with it a little bit, and
Hmm.
seeing what that feels like. And I know before we jumped on the recording, we kind of mentioned the forced acceptance thing that can happen with people. I don't know if anyone wants to talk about that. Maybe Vanessa, if you've had that experience or you've seen with your clients, I'm sure like some kind of, they had this limitation with what they could do. And then maybe something sort of forced them to do it. And then what happens?
Oh,
You kind
yes.
of get,
So we, at least in my experience and working with clients as well, I noticed that, okay, so we have this resistance of reality, and then we kind of eventually have this process where we're starting to accept, but maybe we're not fully accepting. It's like bubbling in there. But then we're forced to do something that's outside of our training zone, incidental exposure, something that we really don't even have the time to overthink about, and we have to do it. Okay. And so, I mean, I have so many examples, right? Like my kid being sick at school and someone needs to pick them up, but I don't drive past, I don't drive at all at this point. But guess what? I need to go pick them up. And then I get in that car. And again, kind of at that point about when we were talking earlier about action being a part of it,
Hmm.
that action becomes the evidence in a sense,
Yep.
because guess what? I did it. It was uncomfortable, but now I have evidence that I can do these things. And there are examples upon examples of people being, again, not by choice, kind of force. And I'm not saying to force yourself
Yeah.
to do, I'm saying life happens and it's going to continue to happen. And opportunities like this, where you are pushed outside of your window of tolerance or your training zone, often reflect a capacity you didn't know you had as well. And
Mm-hmm.
that kind of goes together with this idea of acceptance that you talked about a little bit, Whitney, where we took the pressure off. I remember the moment for me as well, even when I said to my husband, because I had been retraining for a few years, I'd been sick for many, many years before, and I was still dealing with a lot of symptoms. And I said to my husband, like, what if this is it? Like, what if like this is the best I get? Like, this is where I've reached. And I even said to him, I remember going, can you accept that? So that was a big deal for me as well,
Mm.
because I felt like I needed them to accept it as well, in a sense, because I felt the pressure to get to
Oh
a
yeah,
certain
big
point,
time.
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm.
I I found my acceptance at that point. I was like, okay, if this is it, and you know what, I can see my kids grow up, I can keep living, I do have some more capacity, then I'm going to make the best of this. And
Mm-hmm.
I had this conversation with him, and he's like, hey, you're not fully in bed anymore. Yeah, we'd love for you to have more expansion, but I'm with you. If this takes the pressure off, and that's all I needed.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
it's
Almost
almost
like
like that
permission too.
yeah, the permission to be like, stop fighting so hard. And I remember it was around the same time where my husband was going to take the little ones to the park. And I said, I'm coming.
Love that.
Mm.
And I, packed the stuff. I packed my own bag of supports that I needed at the time. And I'm not ashamed to say that I took supports with me,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a place for them. And I went to the park. We drove there. I sat on the bench and I watched my kids.
Mm.
And then I got on the swing. Like, I remember this moment. And with 8 years of vestibular stuff, you do not get on swings. And I just remember being in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
This is where I'm at. I'm not putting any expectations or pressure on myself. I am going to make decisions moment by moment. And that was a big, I remember, I have it on video, like a big moment. And my kids were like, Mom, like, oh, Mom's on the swings. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she's on the swings. And that was the beginning of me deciding I accept that this is the way I am right now. Acceptance doesn't mean defeat,
Yeah.
it means being with what is. I can also hold acceptance while holding a belief that it's going to change and evolve.
Mm-hmm.
Because guess what? Everything changes. Everyone changes. It's going to look different because you are constantly changing from a cellular level, constantly evolving. And so holding both of that, allowing both of those to be there, acceptance and hope.
Hmm.
Guess what? They can both be there.
Yeah. It's important.
Yeah, there's a lot of like intertwining with a lot of these things too. And when you brought up your conversation you had with your husband, it kind of makes me wonder if like a big part of the resistance to acceptance for people is that fear of abandonment, fear of, well, if I do accept
Bingo.
this and I don't get better, I'm going to lose everything. Or
Yeah.
maybe you already have. Maybe you already
Eggshells.
have lost people because of it. And so how
Yeah.
could you accept this? This is like, ruined your life. And,
Mm-hmm.
but the people who are still in it, even, like, yeah, I mean, that was a big pressure for me too for a while. It was like,
Me too.
this deep guilt and fear that my daughter would just like hate me at some point in her life or
Mm,
look back on her childhood and just have all this resentment because I couldn't take her to Disneyland or like do all of these things that I felt like I should be doing as a mom.
Yeah.
And that was so that the guilt, these emotions were what were underneath, and these fears, you know, were what were underneath a lot of me not accepting it.
Mm.
yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And
You
so it
say
makes
the
sense that when you got almost that freedom of
yeah.
I mean, that probably sounds like music to everyone's ears who's unwell. is if everyone in your life just like huddled in a circle around you and they're like, you can stay exactly how you are and we will love you no matter what and it's totally okay and like you're enough and it's fine and we are totally okay with this.
Yeah.
Like,
Imagine that.
could you imagine like the healing and the shifts
Yeah.
that would occur? I mean, I used to imagine that. I used to imagine like what that would feel like and how I feel like my whole nervous system would just relax
Mm.
because the pressure is going, you know? And once that goes, then it's way easier to accept probably
Imagine all
because
the people that are dealing with that though, that they don't have support of
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
They don't know where they stand. They're walking on eggshells constantly. So then you almost have to make a choice. Okay, you know what? I got to choose myself. It's going to take as long as it takes. You almost have to lay it out straight with them. Go, you know what? I know I said it might be 6 months, but it might be 3 years. Just to let
Yeah.
you know. And if you're going to leave, that's okay. Leave. Maybe you should leave
Yeah. We
because
need to
I'm going to be number
decide.
one.
Yeah. You almost need
Yeah.
to decide, like, I'm enough, you know, and if people are going to leave or they can't handle it, it's nothing about me, really. It's just their own capacity.
Yeah.
And that was part of the acceptance for me, too. Like, I
Yeah.
think was because I didn't have people come and say that to me, you know, or I didn't ask
Yeah.
them. I guess maybe I should, maybe I should.
Yeah.
You never know.
Are you guys fine with this or what, you know? But, I don't know why I never asked them that. That probably because I was scared of the answer, you know, like I don't know
Mhm.
what they're gonna say,
Yeah.
but or are they gonna be honest?
But if it's hanging on you all the time, it's like,
Yeah,
fuck, I'd rather face it and get this
I
over
think I
with.
didn't go that route, and the route that I went was kind of like what you said, Helmet, was like, you know what, it is like I almost had to accept that. Like I kind of had to go into accepting all the worst case scenarios.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if I never get better, if my daughter ends up
Yeah.
hating me, like oh well, I
Yeah.
know my truth, which is I didn't ask for it. This is not my
Right.
fault. I've, you know, really done all the like right things here. I'm dedicated to my recovery. Like I haven't just
Yeah.
completely
Yeah.
given up on myself. Like I deserve to be well, and I've
Yeah.
really tried, you know. And so if, you know, yeah, like if people end up hating me one day or leaving me or whatever, I kind of had to accept that as like,
Yep.
you know, that's not really about me as much as it's about them. And I will just, you know, attract the people in my life who can accept
Yeah.
me however I am.
Yeah. They also like we were talking about this before we recorded about acceptance, allowing, and then like kind of self-limiting beliefs. This is the, so a lot of people will think like how we talked about this, like how can I accept, my situation, or how can I accept that I can't do this, or that I can't, go and hang with my kids in the park, or I can't, go for that walk and all of this stuff. And those things are that's not what acceptance is. That's actually, and I was saying like, when people tell me that, or I work with people, I'm like, well, how do you know that that's true? That's a limiting belief. You have even tried, and that goes back to the action-based thing that kind of go hand in hand with acceptance. It's like you're not accepting your situation as you believe it to be true. You're accepting what currently is, and then taking steps forward as like almost an experiment. Like look at it as an experimentation. Can I do this or not? Don't place those limitations on yourself before you've even tried. I've had so many situations in my life when I was like, dude, I had vestibular stuff. I had terrible depersonalization, derealization, terrible anxiety, panic, terrible fatigue and pain and all that stuff. And I would like have to do certain things because of work or whatever. I'd be like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't even know how I'm going to do it. And then I would do it and be like, holy shit, I did it. And I was able to do it. And I actually did it well.
Yeah.
So like, there's a lot of like, things where people wrestle with acceptance because they think acceptance means, we talked about it already, like, accepting I'm going to be sick for however long and, or whatever. But it also comes with the self-limiting beliefs that you place on yourself because of the current situation, which majority of the time are not true. And honestly, when you sort of show your body safety through action, through showing yourself that you're capable of doing more, then you recognize that it was all an illusion. Anyway, even if
Yeah.
the symptoms are there, you're able to do more than you realize. And that's what helped me in true acceptance too. It was kind of a dark place, like you guys said. I think we all got there in one way or another. Like, if I remain sick, am I okay with living this way? And for most people, the answer is no, but it's not like in a dark way. It's like, well, then now what? Now do I try to live better with this? Sure. So that's what I did. And then through that action, through those steps of being like, okay, well, this is where I'm at now, but I'm gonna just try. I'm gonna try something,
You were
and
consistent.
just
You kept showing up.
yeah, just showing up and just trying, not ever needing things to be perfect or to go as planned. Just try. And the truth is, when you just try from a place of let's see what happens, I'm not sure, it opens up this, it's like this freedom. And that freedom helps with like acceptance of like, oh, okay, well, actually, you know what? I was able to do that. And the body then will show you. It's like those glimmers, whatever you want to talk about them. People feel like if I accept where I'm at, I'm just gonna have to be resigned to feeling awful because I'm just gonna feel awful. It's like, okay, well, when you pair it with that action, those actions, those steps forward, the body rewards you. Like, I don't know about you guys, but like anytime I did something a little bit out of my comfort zone, sometimes, yes, I had an exacerbation in whether it be anxiety or symptoms, but more often than not, after the fact, my body rewarded me with like better feeling, whether it was like, hey, maybe you just got a little bit of peace. Maybe you feel accomplished because you did something you didn't think you could do. Maybe you feel proud of yourself. Maybe you just feel a little bit lighter in your body because you just opened up your world just a little bit. And that even allows the acceptance even more. Like, that's been my situation in my case. And honestly, what I've seen with so many people, it's like, yes, acceptance is great with some action that shows your body safety, that shows you that you're capable, that you're not some broken individual, and it's like it's a powerful combination, I feel like.
Yeah.
So good,
Yeah.
Joe. Sorry,
Yeah.
go Helmut.
Yeah.
Also, being aware of not staying at home all day,
Yeah.
flooding your system,
Yeah.
ruminating, analyzing,
Yeah.
right? You're not gonna. You live in a reality. People that don't take action are gonna be stuck where they are, and that's just the way
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
And with all of us, I think we recovered because we kept showing up,
Mm-hmm.
like you were talking about it earlier. Well, you kept showing up. Everybody, we kept showing up, and you can see it when some people. And I know this is, I don't want to make people feel like they're, less. There is a point where you got to be accountable, and you got to be like, fuck it. I'm not going to sit on the fence anymore. I'm not going to be wishy washy. I got to show up if I want to do this because this is your movie. It's not. I'm not judging you. I'm not. It's not my responsibility. It's your reality. So you got to show up every day. Be consistent, the best that you can. Just do the best that you can every day, and keep going. But some people, right? They have the excuses. They don't want. Well, I can't. But I'm feeling. I'm a special case. But I'm feeling like this. But like I know. I felt the same thing. But I had to show up. But excuse, right? And sometimes you got to get to the point like, okay, a couple excuses here and there, I get it. But eventually I got to call bullshit. I got to
Yeah.
go, okay, dude, that's enough. Are you going to do it or not? You're wasting my time. You're wasting your time, right? I can't, right? So you got to
Yeah.
give them the hard love a little bit.
Yeah.
And 1% listen, the rest, they're still stuck, right? But
Yeah.
Well,
there's the people
and
that keep going, they can
yeah,
make it.
I think it's even just starting with something, like picking something so small. Like for me, it was, okay, I'm gonna drive my daughter to school and I'm gonna pick her up every day. Like that's the one
Yeah.
thing that's gonna like get me out of my freaking house, so that like I'm back into the world. And then naturally, what ends up happening is as I committed to this one thing, now I'm connecting with other people because I'm waiting to pick her up and there's other moms there. You know, getting some connection, that's healing. That's getting me, focused on my life in another way that I wasn't expecting. Like my only goal was like just make it through the drive there and make it through the drive back, but then there was so many things that happened along the way, or after I drop her off, it was like, well, the grocery store's on the way home, like I'll just pop in there and get some vegetables, and then next thing you know, I'm talking to somebody in the grocery store, and then I got this confidence of like, oh, I can grocery shop, like I did
Yeah.
it, and you start kind of getting things just start like expanding little by little when you just start somewhere, like just some, even if it's just, I'm going to leave my house and I'm going to go to a coffee shop every morning for 10 minutes and I'm not going to do anything other than sit there and just like watch the people.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go home. Like, I don't even need to buy a coffee, you know? Like, and even if it's for that 10 minutes, you just feel absolutely horrible and you like, you know, dragged yourself there or somebody else drove you and you just had to like, you know,
Yeah.
it took everything in you. But like, if you do that every day, I'm telling you over the time, you will be desensitizing to it.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like that's how
It's
desensitizing
like
your nervous
exposure
system works.
therapy.
It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
gonna happen. And then, you know, it's like things start to, yeah, you start to, and naturally with that action, like we were saying all along, it's like you start to accept things more because
Mhm.
you get some more confidence, you start getting some more hope, and maybe it feels easier to accept now because
Mhm.
the things are sort of moving a little bit. You're
Yeah.
getting more meaning in your life or more like little glimmers. And it's like everyone has said too, we're always capable of so much more than we thought
Yeah.
we were. And it's this perception that like we can't because of how severe things feel.
I wanted to share a little bit about acceptance as a excuse or as how we can use acceptance as this excuse to not do things, right? I mean, when I first started seeing a therapist, my therapist, again, traditional talk therapy, was saying, "Hey, you've been diagnosed with a long-term chronic illness. This is lifetime. You will forever have this, and you need to accept that this is how your life is going to be. It's just going to be limited." And I was referred to these groups of kind of this acceptance of disability and illness, and this is how your life is going to be, and the verbiage and the stories there was
Mm-hmm.
almost feeding acceptance, but from a place of limitation
Mhm.
and from a place of how I see it now is it was kind of like half of the piece of the puzzle. As Joe says, okay, we can accept that this is how we are right now, but we don't have to hold on to the story that this is our forever. And the acceptance at the time was like, okay, I accept. I throw in the towel. I'm not going to try.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do. And so I wasn't taking any action. And I
Mm-hmm.
find many people get stuck in that place. They
99%
accept,
probably.
right, that this is it. And from that perspective, I kind of see it as like acceptance from a victim mentality
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
versus acceptance from this empowered state. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a big difference. And
Yeah.
kind of like how, Joe painted this picture is okay, we can have acceptance, but if with the choice of continuing to show up every day, as Helmut's been saying, right? Continue. For me, it was accepting that this is how I am, but I'm going to continue to do this work because I know it's good for me.
Mhm.
Outcome independence. Whatever happens,
Yeah.
happens. I know this is supportive for me. I know that my body's benefiting, my mind's benefiting, and I'm going to continue to do that. So we have acceptance and action, right? The commitment to doing this work.
Commitment, yeah.
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 Otherwise,
And
it's just acceptance therapy. You need acceptance
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yes,
commitment
yes.
therapy.
So
Like, you
that's
need both.
that's exactly it. So we know
Yeah.
that if we just have the acceptance piece, it's almost like that accepting defeat in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and then we kind of go into the story. This is my life. This is who I am. This is my identity.
Mhm.
And we're fortune telling. This is how it will always be. So we never try, like Helmut kind of said, like we never go out, or was it Whitney, out of that like perimeter.
Yeah.
We stay inside the story. And even from a faith perspective, faith and action, those two
Mhm.
go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
There's many who will be passive in their faith. Okay, I prayed for something.
Yeah.
Is it going to happen?
Mm.
But God's saying, hey, like, I need you to put your faith into action,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
right? There's an expectation on your end. So are we all being passive in that sense versus putting faith into action, practicing, this acceptance and action? So just wanted to spell that out in
Powerful.
case
No, I love
that's
that
where
you
you're at.
said that. Because I think, like, where people get stuck too in the commitment and taking action is maybe that feels like a lot of pressure. But I think that if you really look at your values
Yeah.
and you start there and you're doing it from a place of I'm committed to start living by my values. Now that commitment isn't I'm committed to healing, I'm committed to
Yeah.
doing all the things that are good for me, they're going to make me recover. That can feel like pressure, and that feels like the stakes are really high, and that's not being outcome independent, and it's
Yeah.
this whole other focus. But when it's like, I'm committed to showing up a little bit more for my kids, or I'm committed to building connections, with other people or nature, or like these are things I value, then it's like, I think it's easier. And you also kind of have to make a decision that those things matter more to you than your symptoms and how you feel because
Yes.
they've been running the show.
Yeah.
And you
Yes.
kind of have to be like, I'm in the driver's seat. You all can like sit in the back, but there's no back seat driving, and you don't get to tell me where to turn and what to do. I'm in charge of that. And we're all on the bus together and we're going to this thing because I care about it. If people feel stuck with that action piece,
Yeah.
it could be because they think, well, I have to do it to recover. Don't make that the motive to take
Yeah.
action. The
Yeah.
motive needs to be about your life, like your meaning. You know, go chase things that are going to make you happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Get back into those hobbies and those actions that you neglected while because of the self-imposed limitations and the fears and the symptoms, the fears of the symptoms. Like that's a lot of where a lot of people stay stuck is they wait for the symptoms to resolve, to take action again.
Yeah.
And the key is like take action and then the symptoms will resolve. So, but take action in a meaningful way that's meaningful to you. Like for me, it was like skateboarding. It was like, going out and seeing friends. It was going and seeing live music. It was connecting with people. It was going to like, classes that I wanted to try that I waited to do because I was just like, oh, I can't do that. My symptoms are too bad. You know, I'll do it when I start feeling better. And that's the thing is like, once I started taking those actions, the symptoms got better.
It's
It's
such a
always
paradox.
action before symptoms resolve. Like I've always found
And
it
the
that
action
way.
might take a while still.
Yeah,
You
it might
might
take
be
months. Yeah,
willing to
yeah,
feel like shit,
yeah,
right? And have nothing, like no
yeah,
evidence of feeling. No, you got to be willing to
yeah,
feel like shit for a year while you're gardening, while you're
yeah,
skateboarding or whatever that you like,
yeah.
and without strings attached.
Mm-hmm.
It will come eventually, and you'll enjoy it, right? Just like the visuals, the elevating in the beginning,
Yeah,
all the pillars, I couldn't do any of them. I was
yeah,
like, this is horrible. I feel like, right? I can't even get out of the house. Fast forward a year later, I'm walking 10 kilometers. I'm
yeah,
enjoying my visuals. I'm actually enjoying the dance, right? I can't dance,
yeah,
right? But it catches up a little bit later. So don't be, set off if it's not happening in 10 weeks or six
yeah,
months or 8 months, right?
yeah. It
Just
takes
have
time.
patience. A lot of patience. It'll come.
There's a lot of lies in the brain retraining community about how long it actually takes, man. Like it is not,
Yeah.
it is
Six to
not
12
a,
months, DNRS says.
yeah,
16. Yeah.
it's not a linear journey. It is up, it is down. It's gonna take
It's a
people.
lifestyle, I think.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle. Yeah,
It
but
I'm
is.
going to do this forever. Fuck it.
yeah, I always tell people don't look at healing from like, how you're going to feel in a month or a few months or whatever. Just like see how you feel now, check back in a year, and you'll see your life is completely different if you implement
Yeah.
the practices in the right way, if you keep moving forward in life. A lot can happen in a year with health. I've seen so many people, I don't know about you guys too, like, when they really commit to a lifestyle change versus just some silly practices for a few months, but actually
Massive.
implement it, a year, they're just like, I just had someone in my class, like, came in, was really, really sick. Now he got back into all these things and now he's like kickboxing and he's now coaching people. Like, it's crazy what can happen in a year. I mean, not to say everyone is like that, but it really can, a year can make a difference. It really
Well, just
can.
think about it. Second by second, we're living in that hell,
Yeah.
right? Relentlessly. That's a lot of time in a year.
Yeah.
There's a lot of opportunities there
Yeah.
that allow for shifts to
Yeah.
happen.
And
And
it's
also
it's, it's
internal
inevitable.
shifts too. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Like the internal
Yeah.
shifts are important, not just measuring by the symptoms and sensation. Because I, can see how I think for me internal shift was the biggest shift initially, and probably the most profound in what I see in clients as well. Sometimes it takes time for the body to catch up with the changes
Yep.
taking place internally. And I get excited about that because you're healing from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
Like you are changing deep core beliefs, deep core programming, working with parts that have been, in the shadows for your entire life. And that's some deep work. Like that
Mm-hmm.
is some it's
Mm-hmm.
like transformational work.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm always really, really make it a point to point out to my clients like those changes. Like
Mm-hmm.
they are transforming before your eyes, but
Mm-hmm.
we are now trained to always see symptoms as a measure.
Yeah.
To say, oh, but I still have all these symptoms.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
our
You
next
know?
talk should all be about all the signs you're
Yeah,
healing that have
Yeah.
nothing to do with your symptoms
I
let's do
love
changing.
it.
that.
Because there
That'll
are
give people a
so
lot of
many
hope.
that get overlooked, so
Yeah.
many things. And you don't
We
see it
should
because
bring a
your
list of
focus is your
symptoms.
symptoms.
Vanessa, you could bring like 8 pages, right?
Yeah.
I'll
I
bring
got
three
about
and a
eight
I
as
half.
think we
well.
all could go a
That
whole
gives people
novel.
hope, right? If we go
Yeah.
through all the hell, people go, okay, give me more, give me more. They want to hear that.
I'm sure between the four of us, there's probably like hundreds.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's
probably
Yeah,
over 300 plus.
for
Yeah.
sure. For sure.
Yeah. The symptoms are
Yeah.
the last to go
Yeah, in many cases it
a lot of
is.
the
And
time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
yeah. And I think that the more creative your brain is, the more creative your symptoms will be.
Oh,
Yeah.
And I
yeah.
always see
Human
it that way.
theory.
I'm like, my brain is so creative.
Uh-huh.
Wow, like how amazing that it just creates all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Whitney, I'm so game for that next one where
Yeah.
we can kind of share about that.
Yeah. I think that would
Same
be
here.
good. Because that's it. Yeah. There's so many other things you could measure, but I think the big overarching one is just what you're bringing back into your life, focusing on that more, connection,
Mm-hmm.
joy and stuff. Like it's such a paradox, but I think like the more people can, you know, wrap their minds around like just drop the agenda. Like it's so hard, but the focus on recovery,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
that's true.
actually just
Every
delays
second
it.
word is like, yeah, recovery this, recovery that, recovery. Like that's,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was doing that for a while.
Yeah.
And then everybody's I was around, recovery's like dropped like constantly that word.
Yeah.
Then everybody's watching success stories. It's like an obsession where you have
Yeah.
to like stop being in the mind body space and just do your own work and
Mm-hmm.
then go live life, go garden.
Yeah.
You have to
Okay.
unplug in a way.
Yeah, because it's kind of pulling you out of the present immediately. If you're thinking about recovery, you're constantly thinking about that finish line in the
Obsessing.
You're
future.
never gonna get better.
And you're not
Just
just where you're
yeah.
at right now. Like, just
Yeah.
be where you are. Nobody wants to be where they're at, right? Because
There's
it's
people out
uncomfortable there.
there,
But
they don't take action, but they know all the programs, right? They
Yeah.
know everything about mind body stuff, but they don't actually
well,
take
they don't
Yeah.
action.
implement because they get stuck in learning mode because that's
Yeah.
it's bringing this false sense of safety, and that's a
Yeah.
whole other video topic
Yeah,
as
Yeah.
that's another
well.
one.
I got stuck in that for a while
I
too.
didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know anything about brain retraining, neuroplasticity the first time I like got better from Lyme disease like, 10, 15 years ago. It just wasn't out there. Like I said, I read books on acceptance and commitment therapy. I read books on letting go. I read books on present moment. I read books on just like overcoming anxiety through these type of methods and depression and anhedonia and all of these things, and it worked. And now I know a ton more about it. Like there was a lot of education with the brain and stuff. Now I know all these other things about like, oh yeah, that's exactly what was going on with the nervous system and stuff, but it's not necessary. Sometimes that keeps you in the trap if all you're doing is just doing education, figuring it out, like finding out what's exactly going on. Sometimes it's helpful to know, but most of the time, like that just can keep you in another trap of healing. And like I've said, so many times to people, is like your body doesn't heal when you're focused on healing. Your body heals when you're just living, when you're just
Mm-hmm.
out there living, and that's the step in healing that a lot of people take a lot of time to get to. It's like all of the practices, all of the education, all of the, being trying to be perfect with everything. It's like, but have you implemented any practices of just living and enjoying your life as best you can right now? And this is where a lot of healing like really happens. And So that could be another video we talk about sometime down the
So
road.
many
But
ideas.
I
yeah,
know.
Oh,
Well,
vote.
it's almost like what you're saying is like part of the commitment piece. Like you got to
yeah,
get to a point where you make a commitment that you're not going to keep learning about
yeah,
what's going on and how to recover,
yeah.
because that's taking up probably a fair amount of time when you
Hmm.
could be just baking something or
Yeah,
going for a walk
go
or
bake.
hanging out with a friend and getting coffee, you
Yeah,
know?
But also, there's sometimes where you're on Instagram. I had this so many times where I saw something and I latched on. Somebody said, if you don't do this, you can't recover. And it's like, fuck.
I hate
Now
that.
I got to go
I
do
hate
that.
that too.
Now I got to research
Yeah.
that. Now I got to, right? There was so many of them
Fear
where I had to
tactics.
block them
Yeah.
because we latch onto it. Oh, that
Yeah.
sounds, oh, the complexity. Oh, just like all the naturopaths and the functional medicine doctors, they
Yeah,
talk about the the danger cells and the mitochondria, the motherfucker gene, and you're latching on. You're like, oh fuck, if I don't heal the gut, I'm never gonna get there. And the
yeah,
mind body space is no different. There's people that are doing that. They're putting out these fear campaigns, and people, right? You're vulnerable. Your
yeah,
OCD is gonna take over. It's gonna latch on, and now you're, burning the
yeah.
candles on both ends, getting exhausted, bringing that survival state up, trying to research this thing that you got another can of worms that you got to open, right?
Man, I could talk about all of the problems in the natural health space and even in the mind body space of all these fear campaigns. I see it again, like it's so toxic. It's like, fear, 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 but I have the answer for you. So come join my thing. It's like it's just a sales tactic that people
Yeah.
don't realize when they're in that hyper vigilant state and there
Yeah, they're
are
like, take my money. I need that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they don't
Or
do anything.
supplements, or this rare tablet from Taiwan that comes from a pig's shit, right? That's roasted at a certain temperature. You can
Yeah.
only get it on Tuesdays every leap year, right? And then okay, they'll line up for it. Please make it complex. Anything that's complex, right? If they tell you, hey, you know what, you only recover 60%, but you got to take these 80 supplements. People will be like,
Yeah,
oh fuck, I believe that. Here's my money,
yeah.
right? But if you tell people you don't need any of that, you can fully recover. Like, yeah, okay, yeah, well,
Yeah,
whatever.
okay. Pseudoscience, crazy,
Yeah.
wacko,
You're a
woo woo.
hippie. That's
Yeah.
Oh man, we should, that's another. I'm gonna have to make a list here. We need to have a list
fuck. We
of
should have done
all of
that today.
the red flags to
Well,
watch
for
out
those
for.
who are watching up until this point, like put it in the comments. What do you want our next topic to be? Because we just
Yeah, let
listed
us
like
know from those
7 of
ideas
them.
we just flagged, like
Yeah.
yeah, there's so much of that out there. All these, and there's also all these like false promises out there too. Like
Hmm.
regulate your nervous system in 30 seconds. It's like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's a couple
Yeah.
of them. Well, there's a lot,
Couple.
Yeah.
and they have success stories. How are they finding these people? They must be
Yeah.
paying them. Like, yeah, oh
Probably.
my god, yeah, it took me 3 weeks. I have no more anxiety. My POTS is gone. My fucking, yeah, okay, that's not possible. How can you
Yeah.
can't do that.
Yeah.
Fucking lies.
It's got to
well,
be
let us
paid.
know. Let us know if you have any other questions about acceptance or roadblocks, and we'll try to maybe in the comments, help you out. But then also, yeah, let us know what do you want us to talk about next time from those things there's so many. There's symptom imperatives, things
Yeah.
jumping around all the time,
Crazy
all the
stuff
fear
we've tried.
campaigns out there. What was that?
The
All the things
crazy
we've,
stuff,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
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 Do you think you're going crazy? Well, we all thought that, and it's normal.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Keep
Get
going.
ready for more of that shit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this was great. Thank you guys for coming on, and thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Peace.